This will forever be remembered as the day the American people regained control of their country.
The former president's outreach to male voters seemingly paying off. In 2020 and 2016, about 4 in 10 men under 30 supported him. Yesterday, nearly half cast a ballot for Trump. Among men who turned out for the first time, 62% supporting Trump, while 36% supported Harris. The Trump campaign has taken an unconventional approach, including appearances with unconventional media figures popular with male voters. Trump even saying he consulted his son Barron for advice.
A little bit. I mean, he tells me about all the hot guys, people I never heard about.
And a key late campaign appearance on top podcaster Joe Rogan's show.
I'm doing really well in the polls.
But I think that's...
So this week I happen to believe in a verse. I only believe if they're good. No, I like them this month.
Rogan later endorsing Trump. Democrats pushing for support from women who went for Harris by 54% according to exit polls, but still not enough to carry her to the finish line. The Trump campaign also bringing on prominent supporters who leaned into that gender divide.
When Dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking.
Part of Trump's outreach, one of his biggest boosters, billionaire Elon Musk.
He's a character, he's a special guy, he's a super genius. We have to protect our geniuses.
Who contributed tens of millions of dollars in an effort to get Trump back in the White House. Musk focusing on a get out the vote push, appearing by Trump's side on the campaign trail.
This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech.
And a controversial plan offering $1 million checks to registered voters who were willing to sign a petition supporting the First and Second Amendments. But Musk, now part of the inner circle, spending election night at Mar-a-Lago with Trump. The Trump campaign telling NBC News that Trump wants Musk to lead a commission on government efficiency. As he celebrates, Trump may be bringing the world's richest man to the White House.
Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon.
2 o'clock in the morning, he took to the stage and he got rid of the teleprompter. He was surrounded by his family, who he loves the most, and of course the supporters who built a coalition around him that I'm going to talk about a bit tonight, because when the left wins, they talk about how clever everyone was, and when the right wins, they think that there's some sort of, aberration or cheat or a mistake that's been made. Quite the opposite. I'll get to that in a second. But some of the stuff that happened in the speech, just a little longer than you may well hear in other places. Here's an example of him talking about that coalition, the coalition that stretches from, say, a Robert F. Kennedy all the way through to the boss of the UFC.
His campaign has been so historic in so many ways. We've built the biggest, the broadest, the most unified coalition. They've never seen anything like it in all of American history. They've never seen it. Young and old, men and women, rural and urban. And we had them all helping us tonight, when you think.
There's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You've got some
exactly.
that don't like each other. And,
right.
and some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men. I mean,
I will be leaving the country and my dad will be staying blocked after this election. See you never.
You voted against me. You voted against my right to live. You voted against all the women and their rights.
I think when it's all said and done, what you're going to see is a huge divide over people who are college educated and not college educated.
Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. Pure Project 2025 in miniature in Florida. And that kind of extreme, sort of extremist, right-wing, fascist type government in Florida, does that make it a more attractive place?
Thinking about the people who are not a part of anybody's elite, who are hurting tonight. There are African-American women who know a little bit about being talked down to and know a little bit about having their economic dreams crushed, who tried to dream a big dream over the past couple of months. And tonight they're trading in a lot of hope for a lot of hurt.
Hey Australia, good morning from Washington. Hey, have you heard the news?
In Alaska, what does that mean? The race to 270? Well, that is now over. Donald Trump wins the state of Alaska, and as a result, Donald Trump is once again going to be the president of the United States.
The Fox News decision desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
The former president's comeback will be complete with a win in Wisconsin.
How extraordinary. It is the greatest comeback in modern political history. To find an example of it, you don't have one this century. You don't have one last century. You got to go back to the century before that when they had the 18 in front of the years that were being counted down. Now, there are many images, many stories, many things to tell you about, many things that you've watched happen all the way through the day. And I've done my best to play that straight news bat because, as I said, all day long, you don't want to rub people's face in it. That's not cool. It's not okay. You've got to be a good winner because you've got to be paying attention to the people who are feeling the loss. But we've got to soak the moment in as well. This is an incredible moment in history. It is an incredible victory for people who had been ignored, who had been called garbage, who had been told that their views were not in polite society any further. And they roared. And these were the same people who 4 years ago sacked Donald Trump. The same people in the same swing states who have now rehired Donald Trump. And in an evening of extraordinary images, a campaign of images, when I think we all felt exactly the same thing, July 15 Australian time, that when the bloke got shot, his reaction was not to crumble, but was to fight, fight, fight. And his call all the way through the campaign was fight, 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 vote, vote, vote. And now he gets to say win, win, win. You need to have a look at this photo because this is going to be one for the history books. This is a photo of the exact moment Donald Trump returned to the presidency. He's backstage, waiting to go on stage at his supporters in Florida. His son took the photo as he's watching on to the numbers being counted and then the result being declared. To have that image before us, to have an insight into the most personal of moments, is a perfect example about, in many ways, the open book that is Donald Trump and is his candidacy. At times it can be ugly to read. At times it can be difficult to read. At times it doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's always an open book. And the idea that this was not some sort of filtered special image that was curated by a campaign. It was a son who took a photo of his father fighting back to the place where he will now lead the free world. I find it unbelievable. And as we were sitting back watching all of it happen, the inevitability coming minute after minute, state after state, hour after hour, in Lefty Land, where they thought there was no chance, where this was the basket of deplorables, when this was the people who had been run out of town, to see them coming back, not quite coping.